Good afternoon, everyone. Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach Community Redevelopment Agency. Today is Monday, March 3rd, 2025, and the time is 4 p.m. We do have one card, comments from the public. Claudia Kirk-Bartow.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. I'm Claudia Kirk-Bartow. Some of you know me as the former Executive Director of the Junior Achievement of the Palm Beaches and Treasure Coast, but after 14 years, I am the new Executive Director at the West Palm Beach Center for Arts and Technology. Our new home is going to be at 819 Sapodilla, at least starting in June, so I just wanted to let you all know that. Exciting. We are running our two programs, the culinary program that will wrap up right now with this cohort soon, and then the next round starts on March 18th, if you have anybody in mind, and then our construction program will start in April. Those are both introductory type programs, and so what I want to do is kind of shore it up and bring in the Chefs Association and some of our construction partners to be mentors for those folks that are going through those programs so that they can be ready to interview, ready to decide on what careers they want to pursue within those fields. And then our third program has been Youth Leading the Way. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, but we've pushed into both Palm Beach Lakes and Forest Hill. But when I did some research, I found out that in the Northwest neighborhood, 84 of the 100 high school students go to Forest Hill. That's right, Commissioner Lambert, Forest Hill. So I really want to focus on our partnership with Forest Hill and help those young people that might need help right now as seniors to graduate, if there's anything that we can do before the end of the school year, and then just move on from there to support them. Right in the community, we'll have this, I'll call it a drop-in center for right now, but hopefully to be able to quarterback for the community opportunities for them, the underemployed and unemployed in that community. So just wanted to say hello. Yes, we'll be bringing a proposal to you all soon. I know you've been talking about this since 2019, so thank you for your patience with us, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight.
Okay, thank you very much. All right, now I'll turn to comments from the dais. We'll start with you, President Ward.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Lambert.
No comments, thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm just very excited for the future of West Palm Beach CAT, so I appreciate having that update and look forward to hearing more. That's all I have.
Thank you, and I don't have any comments. Mr. Rugg, were there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
No, Mayor.
All right, very good. We'll start with the consent calendar. Any questions on item 6.1, consent? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move approval of the item on consent.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and second. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 7.1, resolution number 25-10, authorizing the commencement of negotiations with Vegan Fine Foods for the terms of conveyance of 719 North Sapodilla Avenue in West Palm Beach, Florida. Mr. Rugg or Ms. Green?
Hi, Chair and board members. My name is Jade Green, the Deputy Director with the CRA. I'll be presenting on Resolution 2510.
Okay.
All right, so this resolution is to commence negotiation of terms with the proposal we received after our notice of disposition for 719 Sapodilla. We're going to do a quick overview, review some of the community feedback we collected before, doing our intent to dispose, the actual notice of disposition language we used, the proposal we received, timeline, and take any questions from the board as well. That picture is a current picture of the current historic preservation construction we do have going on the site. So it's making great progress and, turning out to be really beautiful. Location-wise, this is at the corner of 7th and Sapodilla, directly across the street from Queen of Sheba restaurant, if you're familiar with it, and in walking distance of our Styx Promenade project In addition, I would still consider it walking distance also from Heart and Soul Park and the Sunset Lounge as well. It sits right there on that corner, including that parking lot and the building. Some community feedback. So at our Barbecue Brews and Blues in 2023 and 2024, we did a survey, which if you could see, majority obviously want more restaurants in the historic Northwest, including hair salons and retail. But another major request, I would say a third about both surveys, is a grocery store and vegetable market. And then in Winter in Paradise survey, which had more responses, about 203, you still have restaurants and bar being right there at the top, retail, but you have that small grocer and vegetable market being a desired aspect in the historic Northwest as well. I just also would like to make a note that the historic Northwest is considered a food desert where residents have to travel over 2 miles to get to the nearest grocery store that offers, some healthy food options. The notice of disposition was issued in December, a 30-day notice under the Palm Beach Post and on our city website. We did, by board guidance at our meeting in December, adjust the language to be more broad, to be inclusive of any type of restaurant or eatery. So that's the exact language we put there. And we did receive one proposal from Vegan Fine Foods. Just to go over their proposal, they're hoping to provide some sustainable dining and a shopping experience at that location. That includes a full-service bar and grill, retail options with vegan products, produce, and meal prep. They hope to use the space for live music, comedy marketing events, and collaborating with other local vendors and artists. They will offer online ordering, delivery, and pickup, and also are going to prioritize, discounts for seniors and youth in the community as well. They want to become an anchor business in our historic Northwest, again with some gathering space for community events and educational programming such as cooking classes. They're hoping to, not hoping, they will be creating 50+ local jobs with a focus on hiring residents in the community. In their proposal, they express a desire to have a lease with the option to purchase within 5 years at this location. I also want to mention that Vegan Fine Foods was a proposal for our Styx Promenade, but they were not selected, so they're clearly a business that's looking to invest in our community. Just a timeline of everything we've conducted. Like I said, the notice of dispose went out in December with a deadline in January. We reviewed the proposals in January. And now here we are recommending to the board to authorize a negotiation with Vegan Fine Foods. We're hoping to come back to you in April with a purchase and sale agreement. The historic preservation construction is on track to be completed in April, and then with a goal to complete the minor FF&E build-out and the business opening in this summer. And with that, the staff recommends approval of Resolution 2510 as it achieves Goal 1 and 8 of our strategic plan, and I'm available to take any questions.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. Any questions on this item? Comments? If not, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 25-10.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 7.2, resolution number 2511, approving the purchase of 914 Fern Street for $5,500,000 for the purposes of extending Fern Street to Clearwater Place. Mr. Rook?
Thank you, Mayor. Board members, Chris Rugg, Executive Director of the Community Redevelopment Agency, and I've been personally working on this project because it is a bit unique in the sense that it's a critical path for our downtown and for our city. So tonight is Resolution 2511 for the purchase of 914 Fern Street. Oh no, would help if I turned it on. So the property outlined in red is the topic for discussion for purchase. I'll do a quick overview. I also have Director of Engineering, Kevin Volbrick, with us here this evening, who can talk a little bit about the Fern Street Extension project. I do apologize for my voice. I'm now sounding a bit froggy, so my apologies. I'll go through the purchase agreement, as well as based on the project, some of the details in the purchase agreement, go through that because it outlines a specific timeline for use of when we can address this project, and also considers the rules and regulations that are outlined in the downtown master plan. And then lastly, I'm happy to take any questions on the topic that you may have. So as you can see, the building is pretty large, includes a parking lot right there at the corner of Tamarin and Fern Street, and is just adjacent to some pretty important aspects in the downtown. So just to the northwest is the Tri-Rail station, which many of you are familiar with, as well as to the southeast is the Palm Beach County School of the Arts. That big parking lot, that's all the parking for the School of the Arts and their faculty. And the question, or the property for tonight is outlined in red with the star on it. So located at 914 Fern Street is a parcel that's approximately a little less than 12,000 square feet, and is currently used for warehouse and distribution. There's two companies that are in that building right now, Universal Cabling and Palm Beach Drama Works, and I'll talk a little bit more about their leases when a little bit further on in the presentation. It was built a little while ago, but the property appraiser currently assesses it at a value that realizes about $16,000 in taxes annually to the CRA currently. It is a family-owned business. Actually, the Universal Cabling owner also is part of the family that is the investment company that currently owns the parcel. So now I'd like to have Kevin come up and talk about the actual Fern Street Extension project so that we can sort of walk you through the justification for the acquisition. Kevin?
Thank you, Mayor, CRA board members, Kevin Volbrick, Director of Engineering. So we've spoken about this previously, extending Fern Street to Australian Avenue across the SFRTA FDOT tracks just south of the Tri-Rail station. This is obviously going to be a tremendous benefit for the city and for all of the commuters in and out of the city, creating additional transit capacity for development that's going to take place both on the east and the west side of the railroad tracks, as well as north and south of Fern Street itself. It's obviously going to help to promote further redevelopment in CRA's Clear Lake and downtown cores, as well as the evaluations that were done previously all the way back in 2017, where we did a study to look at what would be able to help the traffic movements in and out of the city from the east and west directions. And it was determined that the Fern Street crossing would alleviate approximately 11,000 vehicles off of Okeechobee and Banyan Boulevard during the peak hours of each day. So it's obviously going to be a benefit for that reason, as well as it was included in the CRA's strategic finance plan starting in 2019, and it's also in the city's comprehensive plan and in our CIP improvement plan. The project timeline, we are currently getting started with the design work on it. There was a concept plan that was put together a couple years ago. The SFRTA is taking on the responsibility for doing the design for the track work and all the track signals, and they are getting started on that already, in the very early stages. The city is putting a solicitation out for a design firm to do the work for the roadway design of the Fern Street crossing itself. I'm estimating our target is pretty optimistic, that we estimate to complete the rail design work probably by October of this year, and start our roadwork design this summer and hopefully finish that also by the end of this year. So that's pretty much the whole timeline for the project. There is a layout of the project here that you can see going from basically Clearwater on the west side of the railroad tracks there. And then on the east side is where all the complications are, because Fern Street currently runs a little bit further north of that. We're going to have to veer it down to the south to make sort of an S curve there. And then the red square there shows the property that is in the resolution for today to be able to acquire that property. There's also two other parcels just on the west end of that obviously need to be acquired for us to be able to make this realignment of Fern Street. And so that's what the project involves beyond what I've told you previously. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer those.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. Any questions, comments, commissioners? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much for the presentation, Kevin. I know in the past we have voted on different grants that you were looking at to go out for the Fern Street crossing. I'm wondering if we have heard back from any of those, or if they did go out, if there's any other.
Well, we did apply for two grants this past year, a CRA grant and an ATIP grant. Unfortunately, we were not successful in receiving either one of those two grants. We do have pending federal appropriations that is all the way up to getting ready to go to Congress for a vote whenever that may happen, as well as working on getting some state appropriations for the Fern Street crossing. And we will continue to pursue whatever grant opportunities are going to be appropriate for this project. Obviously, we're being very diligent and aggressive in trying to find as much funding as we can for this. And so there's not going to be any let up in the efforts to try to get funding for this project by whatever means, grants, CRA funding, mobility fees, whatever there may be. So we're pretty confident we're going to be able to do this.
Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you so much. This is extremely exciting to see. I know we've been talking about it for a long time, and an additional way in and out of our downtown core that helps alleviate traffic is something I know many people will be happy to see. Just as we start planning and thinking ahead, I appreciate that you said this won't be starting till late '27. Will we be communicating in the same way that we have on some of the larger road programs that we've done in the past to let people know, the closings, that it may impact other areas throughout our city?
Yes, we actually did some preliminary community engagement up at the 25th Court and the Division Avenue, places where we're going to be closing those two crossings. We did that ahead of time so that we could get the consensus of the businesses that are up in that particular location. And we will reach out again when we get closer to knowing exactly what we're going to be doing after our design work is done with those communities and businesses, to tell them what our actual plans are going to be. The old Okeechobee Railroad crossing, which is going to be closing that one southbound leg, modifying that entire intersection there at Old Okeechobee and Parker Avenue. We will continue to be engaging with the various neighborhood associations there. We actually had a discussion with the Pineapple Park Neighborhood Association just about a week ago and discussed that then. So that will definitely take place as we get more detailed information about what it is exactly we're going to be doing and when that will be taking place.
Thank you. It seems like there may be some growing pains along the way, but will be well worth it.
It will definitely bring some better advantages to the Parker Avenue operations itself. I really think it will. So,
Thank you.
okay.
President Ward?
Similar to Commissioner Lambert's question, because I know obviously we're closing a couple, you mentioned Parker,
Are we still just going to be moving forward with that ahead of the scheduling for the actual opening? Like I said, on 25th, where we're closing that one branch off, I would just like to kind of, given that we talked about it a while with the community, kind of give them a heads up if we do know, hey, in 2026, this is probably going to happen.
It may happen in 2026. I can't tell you definitely now, but it will need to happen before we start the Fern Street crossing itself. So it could be sometime later next year or sometime in the beginning of 2027.
Okay, and I have a follow-up.
Yes.
Given that we didn't get either of those grants, is there any other impediment in the way? Obviously, we're purchasing this land, we need other land to be able to make this plan happen. Are there any impediments, or we've got backup plans on, hey, we didn't win any grants and we still have to move forward?
We are going to, like I said, we're going to continue to pursue whatever grant funding opportunities that are going to be appropriate for this, for both the closures and for the opening, crossing itself. There are no land acquisitions that are required for any of the closure operations at this point. And they will also coordinate the closure at 25th Court with the 25th Street project that we are currently underway with through a FDOT LAP grant.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you so much. I think this quarter, all the new projects that are going to be coming are very exciting, and I know this new road will benefit Transit Village, Vanderbilt, Cleveland Clinic, the other things that might be in the works in the future, but I just want to make sure that we're also coordinating with those entities, because obviously there's going to be a lot of construction going on probably around the same time in that corridor. So I just want to make sure that we're all kind of working together to make it as, I guess, as progress is painful, but as pain-free for the surrounding residents and businesses as we can. Thanks.
Well, that's good that you brought that up, as a matter of fact, because we've actually had conversations with people from Cleveland Clinic, as well as people representing Vanderbilt University. The timing of this is actually perfect because they are just in the very early stages of developing their site plans for the Vanderbilt University and the Cleveland Clinic itself, so that we can really coordinate a lot of the dimensional details of where we need to have the road be, where their property is going to be adjacent to our Fern Street realignment. And so the timing on this is excellent as far as coordinating at this early stage of all three of those projects taking place.
Any other questions or comments? Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you. Mr. Rugg, I'm wondering if you can just speak a little bit to the appraisal process and how we came up with this amount.
So happy to, because I actually have more in the presentation. So thank you for bringing that up, Commissioner. So tonight is Resolution 25-11, and it approves the purchase and sale of 914 Fern Street by the CRA. So the sales price is $5.5 million, and it was based on appraisals that were conducted by adjacent property owners, namely Palm Beach County, and other recent transactions that were completed in the downtown master plan area. And because essentially we used, and I'll talk about his help in a moment, but we used a transactional broker that really kind of helped bring this to fruition. And so we essentially had to come up with a price that did incentivize the seller to relinquish the property for the road, which helped determine the price. However, when the discussion started, it did start at a much higher number. So we were able to get the price down based on the end use, which was good news. And the acquisition, as I mentioned earlier, does come with two current tenants, Universal Cabling, and their current lease expires in April 2028. However, there are already two amendments in place for that lease. One allows them, Universal Cabling, to terminate without penalty, with 90 days notice. So they understand they need to find a new location for their business, and they are looking within the city. And then the second amendment, knowing that there is a lot of work that needs to be done, terminates, allows the CRA to terminate the lease if Universal Cabling is still there, beginning January 1 of 2027. And then, of course, Drama Works, their lease expires December 2026. The reason why these are important is that in order to demolish the building and make way for the road, two things need to happen. One is the building cannot have any leases that are associated with it or businesses in place. And the second is that we do need to have a construction permit in order to demo the building as required by the downtown master plan. So these two timing helps and allows myself and Kevin to coordinate to make sure that the building is ready when the permitting is in place. The last thing to note is that there are deposits. The initial deposit, should the board approve it, we have 3 days to deposit $10,000 for the acquisition, and then that initiates a 60-day inspection period where we're able to do all of the due diligence, and that at the end of that inspection period, we have an additional deposit of $290 that, of course, goes to the 5.5 total million acquisition. So the timeline for use, this is what it looks like. And I used, Mayor, I used a March 7th just as a placeholder. That's the end of this week that I coordinated with the city attorney's office. Mm-hmm. And this is what the timeline looks like. So we're looking at a closing by June of this year for the property. When we look at Kevin's project with the design for the crossing, the design for the road, and the permitting, we're well in line of having everything ready to then identify contractors and such beginning April 2026. And then with the lease expiring by the end of that year, and should we need to, and Universal Cabling is still in place, we can issue a notice to them to vacate the property beginning January 1 of 2027. And playing all of that out, Kevin and I both agreed that that looks at an earliest groundbreaking of around fall of 2027, construction being 14 months, and an estimated completion there shortly thereafter. So that's what essentially the project looks like at this time. So with that, staff recommends approval of Resolution 25-11. This has been in the strategic finance plan for some time. And Mayor, I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Very good. Thank you for that presentation. Commissioner Lambert?
Thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Chris, what was the trip amount that Mr. Volbrecht mentioned would be diverted, and was that on a daily or was that an annual amount? I thought you said 10,000 trips.
Yeah, that was 11,000 daily trips off of Okeechobee and Banyan.
Wow, okay. I'm not great at math, but, as I was looking at this amount, and I'm looking at, that's not an inexpensive amount, but I do appreciate your explanation on negotiation of that amount, but it seems like a fair amount for the amount of trips that we're going to be diverting, which probably will equal maybe about 5.5 million over a year's time. So seems like a worthy investment. Thank you.
Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I know we've been working on this for quite a while, but and anticipating the day would come that we were actually moving forward. But I just want to confirm that we had this in our budget for this year, this amount for purchasing this project.
We do.
Any other questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move to approve resolution number 25-11.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. And that is the last item on this agenda. So the CRA meeting is hereby adjourned. We'll reconvene as a city commission at 5 p.m. Thank you.